Meetings over the last 48 hours dealing with our growth and the need we have for more space in different parts of the world and contracts that we have to engage in and properties that we have to deal with, because we're just growing now in different parts of the world in such a way that it makes me a little nervous, and just making sure we can make all our commitments and be able to have the physical plant that we need to have. And I was with a high-powered commercial real estate agent, and he said, "I want to thank you." And I said, I am not committing to you to do anything yet. And he says, "No." He says, "My parents were in one of your pilot programs and it's changed their lives." And I said, "Really? How did they get in?" He said, "Well, I knew somebody inside your corporation and they allowed them to come in." And he said, "I just can't tell you what it's meant for them and how quickly it happened, and the empowerment that's come in their lives. The physicality is amazing. It's wonderful what's happening to their physical being," he said, "but what's more important to me is how they feel. The confidence, the resurgence of vitality, and the sense of hope and confidence for the future." And that was just literally in the last 48 hours that happened, completely unsolicited. I had someone in my home. We had a social gathering about 3 weeks ago, and a person who I had not invited to be there, someone else invited him to be there, came up to me and said, "I want you to know I've been in one of your pilot programs with this transformation, and it's changed everything in my life." I says, "What's happened?" He says, "Well, the first month I lost 20 pounds, but that's not that big deal." He says, "I'm excited about that, and I want to lose another 20, but it's how I feel." He said, "I get out of bed today and I actually have confidence that I can win today." Now, this guy runs a fairly large company, and I was surprised to hear him say that he lacked confidence. But one of the things that we're learning about the transformation program is that it affects hormones in the body. And one of the things that you may have noticed as you have grown older is that you haven't always been able to maintain that same verve, that same sense of "I can do it" that you had when you were in your 20s. And you might have thought that was a function of just getting old. But I'm here to tell you it has nothing to do with age. It has everything to do with what's going on inside of your body. And we can help you with that. We can change the way you see the world. It's really powerful. It is really powerful. Now, we spend a lot of time and a lot of money testing products before we introduce them to you. We go through clinicals, in some cases 3 and 4 times before we'll introduce a product to you. We've got more clinical trials that are published in major medical journals than all other network marketing companies combined. All right? Companies out there that talk about the clinical trials that they've got, but almost in every case, as I've gone and looked at their clinical trials on some ingredient that they've got in their product that somebody else did the clinical trial on the ingredient. So we're talking about clinical trials on our products, and we're focused on that. Well, we want it to be the same way with this transformation, but it's so much more complicated to do a clinical on a process. That's hard to do. We've learned how hard it is. We started in Korea about a year ago in a very rudimentary fashion, and we evolved it. We saw success. Interestingly enough, the extraordinary growth in Korea can be tracked back to the genesis of that original pilot that we did in Korea. We've gone and we've done multiple trials in North America. We've done trials with people who don't know anything about us. We've done trials with people who are friends of the company. We've done trials with some of the distributors now. We have done trials both in the context of what happens inside the body and trials relative to the physicality of what goes on and what people see when they look at you. And literally every single person who goes through the 13 weeks, every single one changes dramatically. They change in their appearance, More importantly, they change in what's going on inside of their body. They change in their hormone levels, their lipid levels, their glucose levels. They change in the way they think and feel. They change in their sense of can-do-itness, to make up a word. Their ability to go out and win literally is transformed. Now, if I had to ask you a question, if you had to choose between looking great and feeling great, which would you choose?
Feeling great.
There was a little bit of confusion there. Was it number one or number two? So feeling great is more important to you. Even the Europeans? They're the ones I sense some confusion from. If you had in the context of feeling great, an ability within your feelings to feel more confident, more bullish, more like you felt when you were 18, which would you choose? I think even the Europeans would go for that one, right? Now, the interesting thing for me is that both of these are actually connected. Now, the world knows that they're connected, but they actually have it backwards. They think if you look good, you feel good. And that's not necessarily true. Hollywood is evidence of that. Most of them look good, and all of them are in psychotherapy. So they clearly don't feel good. Now, I would suggest to you that it's just the reverse. That when you feel good, and I'm not talking about just being a glass half full sort of person, but when you feel good, meaning you deeply feel good, you actually are able to do the things to begin to look good. Now, what we're talking about here is basically the sense that we have come upon, the evidence that we've developed, that if we can change the way the blood is in your body, we can change the way you are, both inside and out. We're going to get into a lot of depth on this over the course of the minutes ahead, but I want you to understand the context of where we're coming from. Everybody out there that is providing the services and products that you watch Brent deliver the dollars for on a daily basis are treating symptoms. They're all trying to get fat off your body, whether it's through a scalpel or a laser or through some starvation routine. They're trying to create a change of the outer shell of your body. We're not going down that path, because that path is not sustainable, which is why 95% of the people that engage it, and I would argue that number's probably not completely accurate. I would guess it's probably closer to 98 or 99% of the people who engage these various and sundry diets fail. Because when you treat the symptom, you will be treating the symptom forever. But if you will get inside the body and treat the problem, deal with what's driving the symptoms to continually present themselves, you will solve the problem. And when the problem's solved, the body, which it wants to be physically fit, the body wants to look, feel, function a certain way. It's put together that way. And so when you deal with what's inside, you deal with what's outside naturally. Some people see that change happen in a matter of a few weeks. Some people it takes a month or two. But everybody in the course of 13 weeks has seen a revolutionary change. Now, we actually called this a different name at the beginning. When we were doing our pilot work over the course of the last year, this had a different code name. But when we begin to see result after result that was transformative, we said, this is a transformation. This is not a change in the way they look or even the way they feel, we're changing the whole being. We're transforming this person. We're creating a new world. You heard me say in the video, if you'll give us 13 weeks, we'll give you a new life, and I mean that deeply. Now, what you're going to see now is you're going to see the beginnings of the evidentiary position that we're going to hold forth for you. Over the course of the day, you'll begin to see what it means to the people that are dear and near to you, and you're going to see the business model that will spring from it. We have the opportunity